Is that coming up backwards? Peter Olson, Chicago Family Law Group here. Let me check my mic setting. Today I'm going to talk about how to do an uncontested divorce. How to do an uncontested divorce. Did you know that 95% of cases in Cook County do not end in a contested trial? 5% do, 95 don't. Not that they're all as easy as what I'm going to talk about, but a lot of them are, okay? So here's the quick how to do an uncontested divorce, okay? Here we go. I'm going to give you 6 bullets on what to do, how to do it, how we can help. First, communicate with your spouse. Communicate the fact that, look, you're not comfortable in the marriage, you're thinking about leaving with and to your spouse, right? By definition, if we're doing an uncontested divorce, the other party is going to have to be agreeing and signing off on an agreement, okay? So if you're doing an uncontested divorce, you probably shouldn't be having me file a petition for divorce and having the person served. You should sort of soften the blow. You should open the doors of communication that this is what I'm thinking about, because the best and easiest way to proceed is essentially by agreement, not fighting in court for 2.5 years, okay? So that's step 1 in the how to do an uncontested divorce. Communicate to your spouse. Second, hire an expert. Hire an expert. There are a lot of good attorneys out there. We're not the only ones. Obviously, I'm doing these videos to just sort of explain and serve the public in general, but obviously part of it is, to market our firm, Chicago Family Law Group, as a focused divorce and child custody firm. But I'm happy to arrange, other referrals because there are a lot of good other lawyers. Sometimes lawyers are like ice cream. Maybe you don't like chocolate, maybe you want vanilla, and that's good too. And sometimes strawberry's good. But what you don't want is the attorney who's a jack of all trades, not focused, not specialized, and a firm that just isn't big enough. You don't have to be big in family law. Family law, right? You're representing consumers. You're not representing multi-million-dollar companies. But you still need a handful of people so that the customer service and the specialization is there with multiple attorneys. So you're going to communicate with your spouse. You're going to hire a good quality attorney, right? Because you need somebody, whether we're talking uncontested divorce, getting good at golf, learning how to cook a souffle. Somebody's done it before. Somebody has expertise. And that's the way to go about something in an intelligent way, smart way. Now, let's get to the nitty gritty. Now you're ready to file a case. Now you're ready to hire an attorney. Here's how I describe an uncontested divorce to potential clients of ours. You got 2 2-week chunks of time that I'm going to guarantee you. And then you have 1 chunk between those 2 chunks, 1 chunk in the middle, that's the unpredictable part, okay? So you have a month, and then you have an unpredictable part. You have a month that an uncontested divorce is going to take. And then it can be 1 month and done, or I'm going to describe the part in the middle, the unpredictable part. Because so the guaranteed upfront part is you hire us. Within 2 weeks, and actually probably less, you're going to have the uncontested legal documents, basically the substantive legal documents that you're going to need to proceed with your case from my firm. You hire us tomorrow morning. Within 10 days, really, 14 to give myself a little cushion, you're going to have a judgment. You're going to have a marital settlement agreement. You're going to have a custody judgment that you can go over with your spouse, review with him or her, forward to that person's attorney, and get the ball rolling. That's our work guarantee in terms of our turnaround, our speed. So upfront 2 weeks. Here's the back end 2 weeks. Typically with an uncontested divorce, we're not going to file the case right away. We're going to get the uncontested stuff done. If you've done what I've asked you to do up front in terms of communicating with your spouse, now you're going to basically have your spouse on board, and then he or she's going to just sign off and agree to everything. And then the back end of an uncontested divorce is then, whether it be week 2 or week 6 or month 6, at the end of the process, we're going to file a case in court. We're going to schedule the one court date that you need to appear at, which generally can be as quickly as about 10 to 14 days out. You're going to come to court one time, and a judgment for dissolution of marriage will be entered at that one court date. Case over. Your divorce is granted. You have that certainty, security, and that peace of mind that you've been looking for. That's the process, okay? So let's just unpack and review really quickly, and I'm going to hit that X factor that I'm talking about, okay? 1, you're going to communicate this with your spouse, because if it's uncontested, you need to communicate with her up front. 2, you're going to hire us as your attorney, or you're going to hire another good attorney, because you need an expert to help you. There's money at stake. There's time at stake, really. 3. Once you hire us, within 10 days, you're going to have the uncontested prepared documents ready to go from us. Everything you need to basically present to your spouse. Now let's talk about the X factor. Here's the X factor. The X factor is how long, and here's the only unpredictable factor, is how long will it take your spouse to agree to stuff? And what are the different ways to go about that middle section that I'm calling the X factor, or the unpredictable part of an uncontested divorce, right? If you've really softened the blow, communicated this up front, it really could be something as simple as, honey, I've gotten the paperwork from my attorney. Can we get together for coffee tomorrow and review this stuff? That person, your spouse, signs off on things, and literally, you're talking about a one-day thing. That happens. In simple cases with sophisticated people, that happens. It absolutely happens. Sometimes we'll, my firm will just send a letter with the proposal to the other party, and essentially, lay out the options to the other party who doesn't have an attorney at that point, right? Hey, you have 14 days to return this stuff, or, maybe we would file a case and have, your spouse served. Other common ways that an uncontested divorce happens, this happened on an earlier case this year with us, where the gentleman, the other party in a case, didn't formally have an attorney in the case, but I know for a fact that he met and probably just paid an attorney for a couple hours of his or her time. And then there was a little negotiating. I think that attorney gave him some feedback on, here are a few points you might want to negotiate. We negotiated a little, and in that case, the middle part, right, the 2 weeks and the 2 weeks, the middle of those 2 weeks, I believe it was another couple weeks to a month, and that entire case was over in about 8 weeks, because he'd met with an attorney, we did a little back and forth, and we got it done, right? Once in a while, though I would say not the norm, but once in a while, the other party will actually get their own attorney, and that person will be in the case, that person will file their appearance, they'll appear in court, and the unpredictable part of the time between the 2 weeks, the 2 week periods, is just how much negotiating, how much back and forth there is. My definition, our firm's definition of an uncontested divorce, is simply, we're going to court, you're going to court one time and one time only. You're not having the wastefulness of a ton of different court appearances, because that's what really churns up and wastes the time and the money. So that is that's actually a very specific overview of how an uncontested divorce goes forward. So What shouldn't you do? How should you not approach an uncontested divorce? Honestly, if you have a real short-term marriage with no assets and no kids, you can do it yourself. But my suggestion is you don't. And obviously, I'm an attorney and I have a self-interest in saying that. But here's what I would say without any self-interest is uncontested divorces are not expensive and really a high price point in terms of legal services. If you're dealing with people who know what they're doing and pricing, at a quality price point, but also a fair price point, you're probably talking about a $1,400 to $3,000 range. That's what we would be talking about. And the variance there is just, adding things to a case. Are you dealing with kids or no kids? Are you dealing with major assets or not major assets? Are you dealing with dividing a house? Are you dealing with dividing a pension? But I would just say this with certainty at our firm, an uncontested divorce should absolutely be a flat fee. Here's what you're going to pay up front and no more type situation. That's absolutely what it is with us. So, doing it yourself, not the best move, just because your time's valuable. Just to wrap, I was in court within the last couple weeks where a guy had been trying to do a divorce himself and didn't know what he was doing. And here's the end, or here's the last chapter I saw. Basically, he, by not knowing what he was doing, the case got dismissed. A judge dismissed his case because, he was skipping court dates, not knowing what he was doing, not making any progress on the situation. Judge dismissed the case. Now, basically, he has to start back from scratch. So, uncontested divorces can be a great and intelligent way to approach a divorce. I laid out for you 6 steps that take 1 to 2 months on average. And, we can help you with that. I'm Peter Olson. I'm the managing partner at the Chicago Family Law Group. I personally have been practicing family law exclusively since 2005. We're here to support the legal needs of families and protect children in times of conflict so that your future is secure. An uncontested divorce can be a good, smart, and relatively easy way to secure your future. I look forward to serving you.